6 years is called theta brainwave stage.
Okay.
It's when the child goes inward. You notice everything they do is focused on inward thought, emotions, the like you said, smiling at things we don't see,
Right.
having imaginary friends,
Right.
conversations we're not part of,
Right.
worlds that we're not even part of. If you look at their drawings,
They're in another place.
they're on another place.
As you say it, I'm kind of going there and looking at it in my mind
Right.
as you're describing it, and I see that. I remember the pictures my kids would draw.
Right.
Very random, but it wasn't necessarily random.
No, it wasn't. In their world or in their reality or actuality,
Okay.
it makes perfect sense to them because they're in the hypnotic stage.
Right.
That theta brainwave stage is the hypnosis stage. There's fairies and there's something under my bed, and
All that.
all of that is during that most innocent phase before they have any idea.
So they are seeing things and
They are.
communicating with things.
They are.
And do we just grow to the point where we can no longer, are we desensitized?
Well, ego comes at
Okay.
7 years old. You ever wonder what happened to your kid at 7? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Ego.
Yeah. Where'd you become this person?
Right. So that person actually starts to become acclimated to the alpha brain waves. That's when your ego shows up and you start thinking from outside in. It's important how you look, what people think, opinion. They start developing their own opinions based on external influence.
I became the man when I was 6.
See?
In my own mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the phase when it's difficult for the soul to continue imparting or imputing information. They basically kind of take a back seat
Yeah.
and let the little hellions run loose.
The little hellions. The little
I'm
hellions.
just joking. Choke. No, but that's the most externally curious phase, is when they start to pay attention to their outer things.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that would explain what supposedly happened when Adam and Eve ate the apple. They became aware.
And their ego kicked in.
And their ego, they developed an ego after they ate the apple.
Is that
and
why
now,
they wanted to put on clothes?
that's when they understood, oh, I'm naked. You notice children before then, they don't know
Don't
the
care.
difference between a boy and a girl.
They don't care about running
They
around
don't care
naked.
about running around naked because that's our natural form and that's actually how we're supposed to exist. But that's neither here nor there. But yes, it's when you turn 7 and that innocence is lost, ego takes over, and yeah, that's what happens.
Wow.
Right. Critical thinking shows up.
At 7.
At 7 is when critical thinking shows up. And that's when that child, starts to have a two-way conversation with ego. Before, it was more one way, like more the ego imparting the information. And now they're getting questions and resistance.
Right.
And that's what the devil and the angel thing is about.
The two opposites.
The two opposites. Polarity becomes a part of ego.
Right.
And you start to weigh things at that point.
Right. You mentioned the number 7. What maybe one day in the future, maybe you can educate me on that number.
The number 7.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Because it means so much.
It's
so
a lot
many
of 7.
different ways.
Right. They
that
consider
are
it a
heavy.
holy number.
Yeah. And
That's really
and they
interesting.
consider 6.
Right.
Some people consider it an evil number.
It's not.
Some
Right.
people don't.
Right.
And you see what I mean?
But
And
again, it's like this. The same as we used to be able to have a choice to reincarnate or not. To incarnate, we could say, I'm going to go to Saturn for the summer. And we just did, and we could. Because all was mine. It was a mental, ethereal existence. So
Right.
we could do that. But once ego is implemented into any situation, let's get into the ego of governance. If they understood that they could go and come when they want,
Right.
then I can't control them. So I need to control the information, thus control the information in terms of what numbers mean what.
Right.
Which are favored over others.
Right.
And none of it is consequential. It's a measure of control.
It's a measure of control.
Correct.
So it's how you receive it.
It's how you receive it and
Or
how
how
you perceive it.
And if you let it control
And
you
if
or
you
not.
allow it to control you or not. The information you do with you do with it what you need. There is no such thing as good or bad.
Right.
It's what you do with what that is.
There's no such thing as good or bad. It's what you do with it. I always think this when people say the lesser of two evils. Doesn't that depend on what you consider as evil?
Correct. Yeah.
Because one person's evil could not be evil to another person. That could be the other person's good.
Correct. Just like your enemy might be my friend.
Yeah. Right.
It's all relative.
It's all relative.
It's all, and remember, we're on stage. Everyone's playing a part. And it depends on what part that person plays in that individual's life.
Right.
So that's why it really can't be delineated in a sense that they try to make a clear line of demarcation. Good, bad. We're both.
We are. We're complex.
We're shadow and light
people.
Right. Shadow and light. That's just the way it is here. We have to be able to.
There is no
both.
purely good person.
Not on this planet.
Is there a purely bad person?
No.
Everybody has some good in them.
Everyone has good and bad. Everyone has. You ever hear people say, I have shadow work?
Yes. What does that mean?
What is shadow work is basically dealing with your dark side. If you don't know your demiurge or your devil, then you really can't be free from it. You have to be able to master
know it.
You have to know it and master it.
You have to know something to master it.
Correct. And if
accept
you don't
it to know
it
to master it.
If you don't acknowledge it, there's no way that anyone could be all good here. And there's no way that anyone can be all bad here. Now, don't get me wrong. There's probably some entities that's not human, but we're just going to talk about humans for the sake of
we're not going to talk about the grays today?
Correct. No, not today.
Okay.
Not today. But in terms of humanity, there is no complete polar opposites that exist here.
No polar opposites.
Complete polar opposites.
Complete polar opposites. So there's nothing completely opposing.
No.
Let's talk about that after break.
We'll be right back. KNER, Red Pill Cafe. Oh, my